Hi, I'm Peter Tragos, host of the Lawyer You Know podcast and YouTube channel. The saying goes, everyone hates lawyers until you need one. Well, I'm here when you need one to answer your questions and give you insight that you didn't know you needed. Along with my partners, Pete Sardis, the professor, who has a finance and business background, and George Tragos, my dad, and the consigliere, a criminal defense giant, we can answer any questions you have. What's up, everybody? Happy Friday. We are here ready to talk through a new case. You can call it a tester case if you want to see, if you guys are all interested in this and what kind of content you want us to hit next. As we're kind of winding down on Johnny Depp, we have a hearing June 24th, and then potentially appellate issues or maybe a global settlement. We'll see. We will obviously follow that, but we are hitting on some other topics and some other cases. Some of those include the Deshaun Watson case, the Sunny Balwani trial, which is actually coming to a close soon. So Pete and I are going to be doing a verdict whenever it pops. Thank you to the new members. Yes, we have our membership that's in the description that you can find, as well as our merch link, things like that. So check that out if you want to, as well as on Twitter and Instagram, which aren't so fun lately, but Twitter and Instagram at Tragos Law, if you want to check us out on there. Yeah, we do a lot of fun stuff on there. And then, of course, subscribe to our YouTube page if you haven't already. I appreciate the subs and I appreciate the community and the growing community, and it's a lot of fun. Sometimes it's not so fun, but today, we're going to focus on this case, this Marilyn Manson case, comparing it to Johnny Depp. They're both defamation cases. They both discuss allegations made about them by prior partners. Okay? And when you talk about allegations made by prior partners, that can encompass a lot of things. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what the differences are between just Johnny Depp and Marilyn Manson personally. We'll talk about some of the major differences, because I do think they have major differences personally. I think they'll also going to have major differences when we actually look at the complaint. It was very, very, very interesting, I thought. And I thought this was a really good complaint, actually, by Marilyn Manson's lawyers. And we'll talk about how it's different because Marilyn Manson is in California, this case. So a lot of people asked, what about the difference between Virginia versus California? How do you get around the anti-SLAPP? What would that look like? Well, now we're going to get an idea about that. So there's a lot to talk about, a lot of interesting aspects to this case that I think make it very different from Johnny Depp. But I want to know from you guys if you think it'll have a different outcome. And what you think justice will be at this point in this case. So when we talk about this case, and for those of you that are new, which most of you probably aren't with a smaller crowd today, I'm a personal injury lawyer in Tampa Bay, Florida, real trial lawyer, full practice, do YouTube stuff for fun because I enjoy it. I like talking to you guys about it. I think it sharpens my skills to talk to a diverse audience that doesn't always agree on things. I like that. Some people don't. If you don't like that, or if you want things to just be one way or everybody sees things the same, it's not how this conversation is going to go. We like to look at everything from every side possible, which I think helps me as a trial lawyer to anticipate what the other side's going to do. And I like to know what you all think, because you all are potential jurors in the jurisdiction that you're in. So I like hearing from you. Even if I disagree with you, even if you think a piece of evidence is really important that I don't think is important, that's very important to me because I like to learn that. So the next time I have a case that has something like this, I know some people may think it's very important. So let's get to some of the differences, okay? So just starting out, before we get to the actual case, Johnny Depp and Marilyn Manson. My question to you is, Do you think, when you think of these two men, what pops into your head? Johnny Depp, Captain Jack Sparrow, great actor, elite actor, big time actor. And when we heard about his past, we heard of 50 plus years with absolutely no domestic abuse allegations. We think maybe partier, drugs, alcohol, things like that. That's what people think of with Johnny Depp for the most part. Then you have Marilyn Manson. And what's the first thing you think of when you think of Marilyn Manson? When I was growing up, it was a, no, do not listen to, do not watch Marilyn Manson. He's demonic or whatever. He has this persona that he does. Definitely kids don't watch him. That's how I grew up thinking of Marilyn Manson. I mean, he is named after Marilyn Monroe and Charles Manson, right? So I think that he wanted that to be his persona. He wanted to be somebody that struck a chord. He was kind of scary on purpose, I think, with how he would do certain things and the makeup in his hair and what he would wear and the stories about removing ribs and, all that stuff to me. And, drugs, alcohol, of course, too. But to me, it was more of a negative public light on Marilyn Manson. And you can disagree with me if you want. Some people loved him. I mean, some people think he's incredibly talented. I honestly have no opinions on his talent because I never listened to his music. Like, I would not know a single except for Sweet Dreams, I guess. I don't know if that was him or a remake or whatever, but that's like the only song I can think of that I heard him singing. So some people love him. Some people think that he's super talented, and I'm not going to say no to that because I have no clue. Honestly, I would just say I have no clue. I was not a Marilyn Manson fan growing up or anything like that. But I would say societally speaking, there's a negative connotation on Marilyn Manson and a positive one on Johnny Depp. So we're going into it. Let's say we go into a trial. This was just filed in March of 2022. We knew how long it took Johnny Depp's case to get to trial. But starting from square one or zero, I think Marilyn Manson is going to have more of an uphill battle. I think the jury will immediately like Johnny Depp, like they did. I think it will take a little bit more time for Marilyn Manson to win over the jury. I think that in the trial, Amber's lawyers tried to use Marilyn Manson against Johnny Depp. And I think instead it turned a positive spin publicly on Marilyn Manson for being a good friend to Johnny Depp. So I think that was very interesting. But we talked about Johnny, 50 years, no allegations, no issues, domestic violence. Not necessarily the case with Marilyn Manson. Multiple allegations by multiple people of abuse, of intimidation, of SV, of DV, of physical abuse, emotional abuse, verbal abuse. A lot of those allegations came out. Now, not many at the time, which is interesting because multiple people filed complaints against Marilyn Manson. And from what I can tell and from what I have found, almost all of them have been dismissed. Almost every single complaint has been dismissed at this point for these allegations against Marilyn Manson. But they all were dismissed, or all the ones that I saw were dismissed because they were outside the statute of limitations. So people call that a technicality. I don't know if you all, as the public, you let me know. Does that sound like he cleared his name? I think people could have differing opinions on that. Some people could say, yes, he cleared his name. Just because somebody filed a lawsuit doesn't mean anything, which I would tend to agree with. But other people think, it got thrown off on a legal technicality. He is still guilty until proven innocent, right? Which I would disagree with usually. So he's not suing anybody for that because that would be covered under litigation privilege. And you're allowed to file those lawsuits and things like that. So he's not suing any of those people for defamation. So let's get to what sparked this controversy. Evan Rachel Wood, the Westworld. I don't know who she is. I think it's Westworld actor, they said. I'm sure somebody in the chat will correct me. They start dating, I think when she was 18. She moves in pretty quickly. They get engaged. They have a long relationship, and then they break it off. Well, she comes out and says, and somebody just asked, why is there a statute of limitations still for SV? Well, she and other people are doing things to fight against that and extend that statute of limitations. So not everybody agrees that it should be like that. He groomed her, SV, abused her, coerced her, dominated her, put the fear into her so she couldn't get away, isolated her. Those were kind of the things that yes, Westworld, somebody said. Thank you, Tarantula. So those were some of the allegations she said, and she said them in public settings and hearings to law enforcement all over the place. She wasn't shy about saying them. So we can say that's similar to Amber Heard, who also said these statements publicly. However, as we're going to look at the complaint in a minute, he is not suing Evan Rachel Wood for those statements. And that's the biggest difference in this case when we actually look at the complaint, which we will do in a second. Because I'm going to pull it up here. All right. So Brian Warner, aka Marilyn Manson, is the plaintiff, the defendant, Evan Rachel Wood, and Ashley Gore, who will be a very important person throughout this complaint, as you'll see. Here are the causes of action that we're going to get to, and we're going to read these in detail. We're going to skip through some of the facts, but intentional infliction of emotional distress, defamation per se, not against Wood. Okay? He didn't even file the defamation claim against Wood. Violation of the Comprehensive Computer Data and Access Fraud Act, and impersonation over the internet. Okay? And he demands a jury trial. So they introduced the action, they introduced the parties. But I want to point out some of the very interesting facts in this case. Marilyn Manson's lawyers were very, very specific. And it leads me to believe that they have legitimate evidence that can prove what they say. They're not throwing things up against the wall and seeing what sticks. They actually attached some exhibits to the complaint, which you don't have to do, but it shows that you have some evidence. And we're going to get to that and look at that. But first, I want to point out some of this. Let me see if I do this. Can I zoom in? Yeah, that's better. Okay. So some of the things he says that Wood and Gore did. They impersonated an actual agent of the FBI by forging and distributing a fictitious letter from the agent to create the false appearance that Warner's alleged victims and their families were in danger, and that there was a federal criminal investigation of Warner ongoing. They provided checklists and scripts to prospective accusers listing the specific alleged acts of abuse that they should claim against Warner. Attachments B and C. So we're going to see these in the attachments, like I said. And we're going to look at this checklist, and it is incredibly creepy. So stay tuned for that. They made knowingly false statements to prospective accusers, which have since been repeated by those accusers in court filings, including the defamatory claim that Warner filmed SA of a minor. And we will get to that as well. So he talks about in here how they sought out other people to try to get this groundswell of allegations against Marilyn Manson. He was definitely damaged because I think one of his labels dropped him, a bunch of shows dropped him, some advertisers dropped him, everybody basically dropped him. And he says that in addition to these things, they also did what he called swatting. You see where that is. Yeah, he talks about how she would testify the Phoenix Act. That's to extend the statute of limitations on SV. Let's see here. Wanted to get to the swatting. Yeah, this is just going into detail about those facts, providing the checklist, things like that. We're going to get to that. Fictitious email accounts. Okay, here we go. SWAT. Gore swats Warner in February. Swatting is the harassment tactic of making a hoax or prank report to emergency services to elicit the dispatch of a large number of armed police officers, example, the Special Weapons and Tactics team, to a particular location or address. Swatting is often triggered by a false report of a serious law enforcement emergency, such as a bomb threat, homicide, hostage situation, or mental health emergency. For example, the claim that an individual at a certain location is suicidal, homicidal, or unwell. Swatting creates fear, anxiety, and trauma in its victims, as it did with Warner, which is Manson. She swatted him when she notified the FBI. They received a call from a friend of Warner named Gore, who claimed that an emergency existed because she had not been able to reach him and was concerned for his safety. The report was false. Warner was at home with his wife and a guest and not in any danger. Gore knew her report was false. She and Warner have never even met. She has never been Warner's friend and has no basis to believe Warner posed any risk of danger himself. Multiple LAPD officers respond to the purported emergency at his house, and you can imagine how that made him feel. And then somebody said, today we were notified by the FBI. It says approximately 8:10, a person associated with Warner received an email from an LAPD detective that said, today we were notified by the FBI that they received a call from a friend of Mr. Manson. The friend, Ilma Gore, who's the defendant in this case, has not been able to reach him and is concerned for his safety. When we went to his residence, there was no answer. Is there any way for us to contact him to check on his well-being? If not, can you have him reach out to Ilma? So they basically talk about how damning this is, how difficult this is, and how it can create such anxiety and stress on the person that gets swatted. And again, very, very specific. Let's get down now to the specific causes of action. A lot of facts in here. A lot of facts. And so people are asking what he's accused of, things like that. This is actually Marilyn Manson filed this complaint. So he is the plaintiff here. Gore and Wood's conduct. First one is intentional infliction of emotional distress. We've talked about this before on the channel. We've talked about it with Gabby Petito and some other cases. Gore and Wood's conduct was outrageous in that it was so extreme as to exceed all bounds of that usually tolerated in a civilized community. This conduct included initiating at least one incident of illegal and highly dangerous swatting. So the swatting led to the IIED of Warner on February of 2021. Soliciting, receiving, and using logins and passwords for Warner's personal and business social media and email accounts and his address, phone number, and social security number without his permission. So one of the allegations is they hacked in, stole all this stuff, impersonated him, falsifying correspondence from a fictitious federal agent claiming that there was concern for the safety of Wood, other than, I think that means the safety of Warner, other than the victims of Warner and their families, as well as ongoing federal criminal investigation targeting Warner, making knowingly false and defamatory statements against Warner, including that the actress in the groupie video was a minor and Warner was manufacturing CP, and recruiting, coordinating, and pressuring multiple women to make false accusations against Warner and to be part of their film project. Gore and Wood intended to cause Warner emotional distress. In the alternative, Gore and Wood acted with reckless disregard of the probability that Warner would suffer emotional distress as a result of their conduct. He suffered severe emotional damages or distress. Gore and Wood's outrageous conduct is a substantial factor in causing his severe emotional distress. They acted with oppression, fraud, or malice as defined by California Civil Code and engaged in highly reprehensible conduct. So when saying that they had conduct that shocks your system, he listed a litany of things. This is a pretty good IIED claim, as opposed to they just did something that caused this person emotional damage. These lists of things that they did, if he can prove they did them on purpose, is a very good list and is frankly easier to prove than defamation, in my opinion, because he had, if he actually did treat and show that he has this, this actual emotional distress. No IIED claim for Johnny Depp. So a big difference. But do we have a similarity here? The second cause of action, defamation per se. Warner incorporates a reference to preceding paragraphs. Gore stated, so Gore, not Wood, stated to persons other than Warner that during the filming of Groupie, the actress in the video was a minor, that the actress was dead, Gore understood these statements to refer to Warner and specifically to mean that Warner's role in making of Groupie was CP and was criminal, which is where we get the defamation per se, meaning he doesn't have to prove damages, but my guess is he will. She stated that Groupie was evidence of a felony and that Warner would be indicted as a result. The statements about Groupie were false. We know they have to prove that. The actress in the video, Paula Weiss, is alive. She was not a minor when Groupie was filmed. Seems pretty easy to prove based on a birth certificate. She has since publicly stated that she was not a minor at any time during the production of the film. In addition, the director of the film, Joseph Coltis, has publicly stated these claims are all fake. On information and belief, Gore knew the statements were false. This is like, I can't prove it positively, but I'm pretty sure. That's what on information and belief means. Or had serious doubts as to their truth. Upon information and belief, Gore knew the actress was not a minor or had serious doubts that she was a minor, but instead intended to peddle these false and defamatory statements because they would validate and enhance her fabricated narrative regarding Warner's alleged abuse of others, including as reflected on the checklist provided to the women that Gore recruited to come out against Warner. More on the checklist later. She made the above false and defamatory statements without privilege or justification. The above described false and defamatory statements injured Warner. Warner did not discover and had no reason to discover what prospective accusers had been told in non-confidential discussions with Gore until one such person revealed in at least November 2021 that Gore had made these statements. Gore also acted with oppression, fraud, or malice. So these people that at least some of the people that Gore and Wood reached out to said no, and then actually told Marilyn Manson that they were reaching out, giving these texts and emails and checklists. And they came out and publicly supported Marilyn Manson. Very interesting. Third cause of action, violation of the Comprehensive Computer Data and Access Fraud Act. Gore and Woods expressed or tacit approval, solicited, received, and used logins of passwords of Warner's personal business social media accounts. And they basically accessed them, deleted, destroyed, or otherwise used data, computer, and computer system. This is just basically they hacked into his system. They did it without permission, and they harmed Warner, aka Marilyn Manson. Last, impersonation over the internet. Gore, with Woods' express or tacit approval, knowingly and without consent, credibly impersonated Warner through and or on an internet website or by other electronic means for purposes of harming, intimidating, threatening, or defrauding Warner. Warner was harmed as a result of this conduct, and Wood's conduct was a substantial factor in causing Warner's harm. Gore and Wood acted with oppression, fraud, or malice. Okay, and lastly, which we always like to get to, is the prayer for relief. What is he asking for? Damages, including general and special damages, and the amount to be proven at trial. So no specific number. But we know he wants punitive damages, which we know Johnny Depp got against Amber Heard to the tune of $5 million, but there was only a $350 cap. I don't know what the cap is if there is one in California, but we can look that up easily for the next video. If you're all interested in this content, if you're interested in this Marilyn Manson case, how it compares to Johnny Depp and on its own, please hit the like button and subscribe. And everybody, tell your friends to subscribe. We're on our way to 125,000 subs. It'd be awesome if we could get there this weekend. All costs, interest, and attorney's fees to the extent provided by law. You always have to have this part, to the extent provided by law, because it's not always statutory. You don't always get fees, but sometimes you do. In order enjoining Wood and Gore from engaging in further wrongful conduct toward Warner. This is a big one. This is specific performance. Basically an injunction stopping Wood and Gore from doing this type of thing against Warner because they've really done it a lot publicly, privately, with people's knowledge, without people's knowledge. Such other and further relief as this court may deem just and proper. So that is the complaint. I'm going to take it off the screen. If you guys have specific questions about it, we can always pull it back up. So very interesting. Oh, shoot. I didn't show you the... I did not show you the exhibits. Attachment A is a letter where they are basically impersonating FBI agents. Attachment B is this checklist. And I'm just going to leave it here for you to read. Are you willing to testify? Yes, no, it's complicated. Were you a sexual partner or a spouse? offered a project or a professional opportunity that never came to fruition or was vastly different. What case does that remind you of? Where they asked just about every alleged victim, did he offer you could come sing with him or be in a music video or whatever that never came to fruition? Does anybody remember? People are asking to zoom out or zoom in. I can zoom in some. All right. So this first one, anybody remember what case that reminds you of? Because to me, it sounds like R. Kelly. Then rape, blood drinking, commercial sex act, cut or assaulted during sex without permission, tied up or bound, locked in bad girl room or unable to physically leave, made to guard girl to make sure she didn't leave, sleep deprivation, forced to eat on specific eating schedule, given a dress code, drugged or suspected to be drugged, threatened, underage and given drugs or alcohol, sacrification, exploitation or blackmail of documents, photos, and or video, assault and battery with a deadly weapon, help to coordinate schedules and or locations of women, matching tattoos with Marilyn Manson, aka Brian Warner, was a minor and had SA, transported to LA overseas / interstate. That is a creepy list. This one, somebody checked a lot of them. It is very specific. And honestly, it is something that is legitimate in these kinds of cases. I mean, when we see the criminal cases like this, Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein, R. Kelly, just to name a few, they had literal checklists just like this. Just like this. So to me, I mean, this is, if I'm Marilyn Manson, this is scarier than if I was Johnny Depp. Okay, because I think these allegations are worse. I think that these allegations are scarier. And then somebody else said earlier, RF said, Evan Rachel Woods is also much more credible than Amber Heard. And if you've seen Miss Wood testify, she does seem a lot more credible. Her story seems a lot more consistent. And, I don't think she was doing it quite the same way as Amber Heard. So that's what I'll say about that. I do think potentially that that they have a better chance than Johnny Depp, but I also think I like Marilyn Manson's causes of action better than Johnny Depp. It seems like he has better facts of what they were doing to try to take him down. And I do think that overwhelmingly, if the jury believes that they impersonated federal agents, tried to pressure women into coming forward, they're just not going to like these defendants and they're going to rule against them. But if they think that, yes, they did try to get these other potential victims, but these other potential victims did have similar stories, then I think it's possible the jury rules in favor with the defendants. I haven't seen a counterclaim yet. This was just filed in March, so we'll see if they have a counterclaim against Manson, like Amber Heard ended up pulling out. Okay. Let's get to some questions. We can ask questions and answers about this Marilyn Manson case. It is Friday. This is our case-by-case slot. So we can also do some AMA. Ask me anything you want. We can kind of have some fun with it. I am a little bit tired. I know people said that. I've got a headache, but we're going to get through it, and we're going to have fun. Melanie Casio was one that said, you look tired. Sorry, last night was rough. Yes, it was. It really wasn't fun, to be honest. All right, Mo. Makes me wonder if this case is why Heard's team pushed so hard for them to admit he was hanging out with him. Yeah, I do. I think so. I think this case, but I think even more than this case, just the fact that I could be wrong, but I think Marilyn Manson publicly has a negative image, or at least this, I see people asking about BDSM. I think he's got that kind of an image to him purposely. Susie, 90 Day Fiance, come on opening, you made it. Minnesota Mickey, I'm finally at a computer so I could join. Yay. Glad to be part of the jury. Thank you, Minnesota Mickey. Yes, some people do have trouble joining on their phones or iPads, so you may have to do that on a computer. Susie said your decanter needs washed. It will sparkle OCD. Yes, it probably does need to be washed or used. Serena Tehan, will this case be live streamed too? People are guessing that, okay, so here we go. We got a couple of these questions. P-Day 2-Day also said, will this case be televised? And then Nicholas Perlet said, will this be televised? And I think I'm hearing people say Marilyn Manson wants it to be televised because he sees what happened with Johnny Depp. I think that could go either way for him potentially. I saw some other people asking if it was in state or federal court. It is in state court, so it is possible to be televised. Mo said no cap for punitive damages in California. I feel like that's an easy Google search, so let me just check it out. Punitive damages cap in California. California does not place a cap on the amount of punitive damages that can be awarded in a lawsuit. So if they come down with $5 million, then maybe he'll actually get $5 million. Mind grown. I'm in and out because of work, so may have missed something. Question, do you think BDSM may be involved? I love MM and we'll be watching closely. I definitely think BDSM is going to be involved. I just think, again, this depends on the jury you get. This is probably better for California than Virginia or some other jurisdictions, but some people would think BDSM could potentially be criminal, right or wrong. So you got to make sure you have the right jury for this case, potentially. Olivia also letting me know, thank you, that no cap on punitive damages. Industry Rajon. Hey, Peter, joining late again. You may have covered this. I'm assuming defamation case in California will be much harder to win. Allegations sound like R. Kelly case. Have you read up on the Manson case? Yes, I have read up on the Manson case now. I'm pretty up to date with at least this portion of it. There's a lot of different, kind of like spider-webbed parts off the side. You would think the defamation case would be more difficult in California, but he has it very pointed and specific. And it's not just defamation. It's IIED and it's other California Penal Code violations. So I actually think this is a pretty well-founded complaint. I would be surprised if it just got outright dismissed, including because he didn't sue his fiance for defamation at all, his ex-fiance, for everything that she said and accused him of, which is very interesting. He's done it in other ways, how to fight her on it, but not defamation. And that's probably because California. Paula Graham, what kind of person is Brian Warner outside of this freakazoid character he portrays? I'm finding it hard to listen to this dark stuff. I agree. I don't love it either. But I think that's going to be a big thing in the trial. That's something he has also said publicly and in interviews, that it's kind of a persona. And a lot of people that know him say he's not like that. He's actually an awesome person, a good guy, etc. So maybe this trial will show everybody a different side of him. Azam, what's up? Sorry, this is off topic. I don't have any legal questions, but do you have your videos scripted before Q&A session? I binge some of your playlist. You talk nonstop. I do not have scripts. I have outlines sometimes. I have notes. Sometimes I have quotes if I want to read a specific quote, make sure I get it right, but I don't have scripts. I don't have scripts for any of the questions and answers. I don't know what the questions are going to be. That's what's fun. I like practicing and being quick. I think you got to be quick on your feet always. I think that's a skill that can be sharpened. And it's an important skill for me. We watched in the trial how certain lawyers would get up and they couldn't form questions once they got objected to. They couldn't think quick enough to change the question. They couldn't think quick enough on cross or on redirect of what do they need to hit. That's incorrect. They didn't say that in their depo. You've always got to be kind of thinking and being able to do multiple things at once. So this is good practice for that always. Thank you, Azam. I find those kinds of questions fun. So if anybody has any non-legal questions, that's cool. Marina V, I do think the statute of limitations should be expanded / eliminated, but I wonder then how we would protect people from false accusations. Yes, I agree. Potentially, I think there should be some exceptions or maybe expansion. It definitely shouldn't be done away with, because then somebody can hold that over your head forever, whether or not it happened. And yeah, false accusations with cancel culture and all this stuff have such damning results that it's a tough balance. It's a really tough balance. Thank you, Francisco. Liz Bird, after the message on the mirror in the Depp case, you're so vain. I think there's an Amber Heard vibe behind this MM case and me too. False allegations too. Only time will tell. Only time will tell. Sunflowers. Victims of DV may never speak about it, especially if they have been isolated from friends and family. It sounds like ERW was isolated. I will wait for all the evidence before making a decision. I agree with you. I do not feel very strongly on either side. I think that I'm saying Marilyn Manson's lawyers did a good job, but they've also made that bar high. I expect them to have evidence proving this, not just Marilyn Manson saying, well, somebody got a call from the FBI, so I knew it must have been them. That's not enough for me. The way they wrote this complaint, I hope they have real hard evidence, and I think they do. And so that's what I'll be waiting to see is, does that actually come forward? And for all the people asking if it's going to be televised, if it is televised, I still think this is years away from coming to fruition potentially. Who knows what society will be like then, right? Tracy Fagan, thank you. JL Seether, off topic. Have any of your trials been televised? Would be interesting to see you in action. So a couple times post-trial interviews have been televised, especially a couple federal trials that we had. And then the state trials that I did in Pinellas, at least, were on CCTV. So you could watch them in the courthouse. The state attorneys could watch them. People with that CCTV could watch them, but not publicly televised. And now, the big problem, and I said this on a stream earlier today, actually, I was on with Eric Hunley and, Rob from Lumber Law, Nate, Emily, Alita, Natalie, Joe. Viva. I don't want to miss anybody. I think that's everybody. So we were on a stream together and we were talking about why can't every trial be televised? And of course, all the content creators want them to be televised and they get that. But most of my clients in my cases with car accident cases, gruesome injuries, maybe emotional distress or mental health PTSD from the accident, they don't want all their business out there. They don't want their personal medical records out there publicly. So I would probably object to some of these trials being publicized. As fun as it would be to hear you guys, what you think of me in action, I would love that as well. If anybody's in the Tampa Bay area, you can always come and sit in during the trial, which would be cool. But yeah, putting our clients' medical, so much of the trial is the medical treatment. Sometimes they have old PCP records that may either have embarrassing things or things they just don't want out there. Mental health struggles that people have with PTSD, post-accident or post-injury or wrongful death. People don't want that out there in the public. I'm always sensitive to that. I represent my client first, way ahead of content creation or, enjoying some dialogue with you guys or critiques from the trial. So, that's kind of where we're at this point. But if ever one does pop up, you will know about it. Kim Ripley, I watched MM and an old interview with Phil Donahue, and he was very well-spoken and thoughtful. I hear he's a genius. That's what I hear. I can't confirm or deny, but I hear Marilyn Manson's a genius. Plutonium Shore. I asked the question, why aren't we encouraging victims to step forward immediately? I was immediately accused of victim blaming. I don't understand. Don't we want bad guys to be held accountable? Thoughts? Yes. But all the experts I've come into contact with, they say it's not unusual for it to take time. It's not unusual for them to suppress those thoughts and feelings. It's not unusual for them not to realize they can fight back against their abuser until they're out of that relationship and with somebody that's supportive and that can help them. So to me, I do think that yes, we absolutely want to encourage them to come out as quickly as possible, but just because they wait doesn't mean it's not true, which is not what you're saying. I'm just saying that's what the studies do show. How long do you think it will take for the trial to start? If I were to guess, quickly would be 2 to 3 years. Katie, off topic, but just want to say I love your lives. Keep it up. And how about this weather today? So gloomy. Yes, but at least it's not 1,000,000 degrees. I had a guy at my house very early this morning fixing part of my AC. And I was like, hey, this is not that hot, because he always complains when he has to go into the attic because it's so hot. Oscar Lopez, how long did the JDAH case start in court? Sorry, a little off topic. Was it 2020? I think it was 2 years. I think it was 2 years, but I'm not positive. All of it happened 6 years ago. I want to say 2 years. So I think that's probably similar track to Marilyn Manson, maybe 2 years. Marissa Cartia. I sent you guys a question via Facebook Messenger about career advice for a future potential expert witness for forensic accounting. I know I answered one of these about somebody who wanted career advice as far as the legal medical testimony and how they could make that a career as a retired doctor, I believe. And I did talk with them for a little bit about it. I don't think I saw this one yet, but if I do, I have some thoughts, so I will try to respond. Legal and Leaf is a new member. Welcome. Tracy Fagan, how do you go from a welfare check to SWAT? Oh, yeah, I don't know. I was like, what the heck does this mean? I thought you meant a welfare check like money, but you mean cops showing up to check to make sure they're okay, to why did SWAT show up and all that. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. The allegations are big. I think we're going to learn more about it. CS, watch Colonel Kurtz. Colonel Kurtz looks like ERW or associate may have tried to copy illegal pics, videos of young people on Manson's computer from her own IP address. Yes, I heard that as well, that they were trying to make it look like he was involved in that, what we'll call CP, child stuff. So yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff that seems shady that they tried to do, and that will be damning for them when it's all said and done, if they prove they did that. And as you know, once you start to build that mountain of evidence against somebody, it's hard to overcome. Nicole Wheeler, great to see you with the other lawyers today. Yes, it was very fun. If you all haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button. We are working our way to 125,000 subscribers, which is really fun. I appreciate so much all the support. Now more than ever, the nice messages people have been sending me over the last couple of days have been awesome. And I appreciate it so much. You know, you guys are all awesome. I appreciate everybody that comes on the channel and shares their time, shares their thoughts, shares their experience. It makes it really fun for me. And that's what this is for me. It's really fun. It's never going to be my job. You know, I'm never going to stop being a lawyer. So when it stops being fun, I guess I'll just stop doing it. But, you know, it was less fun the last day or two. But this is fun. And I want to find a new case that you guys are interested in. It seems like this is one that you are interested in. So I am going to keep following it, and I'm going to keep going forward on it. We're not quite done yet, Brenda, so you didn't miss the whole thing. Kathy L, yes, smash the like and subscribe. All right, let's get to a couple more. Deidre said she saw me on Eric's channel today. That's awesome. Yeah, Brittany. So the Chrisley family tax evasion case is wild. It's wild to think what's going on with that. They actually got convicted. I mean, people thought for a long time they were doing all this shady stuff with that show. That's always why, you know, reality TV and stuff like that, don't be jealous of what you see on social media. Don't be depressed or jealous about what these people seem to have, because as we're finding out with so many of them, shady stuff's going on in the background. They end up in prison, and you go to sleep every night with, you know, what do they call it? You rest easy. You put your head down on the pillow. I'm the worst at one-liners, as you guys know. But yeah, you can sleep easy at night. These people can't. Very interesting. If enough people care about this case, this is an easy one to get into because they've already been convicted. So we can go through the charges. We can go through the convictions. We can see how long they're going to be in. So if this is one that people are interested in, let me know. Can someone tell me the channel where Peter, Nick, Emily, etc. are on today? It's Eric, Hunley. Nick wasn't there. I think he's been there a bunch. This is my first time on it. I think that Eric has a group of lawyers on each week. It's called, we'll post it in the chat. I can't remember. It's not his main channel. It's like Relaxing with Law or something like that. It's like Chill Law or something like that. JJ Doe, hello, Peter. Happy Friday. You may have answered this already, but why does it take potentially years to go to trial? Everything's got time periods. You file the complaint, you know, they have 30 or 45 days to answer. You do discovery, they've got 30 days to answer. If they don't answer it, you have to send them a 10-day letter and wait 10 days. Then you have to file your motion to compel, which can take 2 months to get in front of a judge. Then if the judge compels them to answer your discovery, it could take another 10 days. Then you have to set depositions and coordinate all these depositions with all these lawyers who have a bunch of other cases. So they set them months out. Then you get a trial date and you come and you get ready to trial, but they've set 4 trials on that same date. Some of them are 5 years old. So your early case gets booted and they continue your trial. Then you've got to get a date that all these lawyers and experts and witnesses can come to again, which can be months down the road. Then when you show up for that trial date, you could have 4 or 5 trials set again. So everything has to line up to where you get your case to go to trial. And it is so frustrating as a plaintiff's lawyer because with COVID and everything else, the delays just keep getting worse. Lawyer, you know, have you gotten your plaque yet from YouTube? I have not. We've ordered it. I'm really excited about it. But I'm also, Rob from Law and Lumber said he is making wood play buttons for all of us who hit 100,000 during the Johnny Depp trial. And I'm basically more excited about that because he's awesome. I really think he's an awesome guy. So to have something that he actually handcrafted himself is going to be so awesome. And I can't wait. And I'm going to display that thing in primo position. Either here or at my house where I record the video. So I'll have one in each place, and I'm Really excited. So can't wait for that. Hit him up and let him know. I'm waiting for it. Are you going to follow the Daybell trial? Yes, and I believe this is going to be televised. So that one's going to be very interesting. And yes, this is something I am going to cover for sure. So if you guys don't subscribe to my page yet, subscribe to my page if you're interested in this, and hit the reminder bell so that when we start doing more on that, we'll be in. Veronica T, I was watching you on Eric's new channel and you're so polite. Thank you. You're a great demonstration of being a courteous human being. Thanks for being you. Veronica, I appreciate that, and I appreciate you. Thank you. Kat Reynolds, Brett Pitt, and Angelina Jolie case. I have looked at this a little bit. Yeah, Laura S., I've seen this one as well. Please discuss the gymnastics or the gymnast versus FBI case too. That one's very interesting, kind of weird. But you can see how many cases there are out there. So I've got to focus on, one or two. So if we can get some kind of consensus, I will make some community polls. So please subscribe so you can get in those community polls. You don't have to do anything else. You don't have to pay money or do super chats or be a member if you don't want to. If you don't want to support the channel that way, that's totally fine. But I really do want you guys to subscribe so you can get in the community polls, vote on which content and cases you're interested in, because that's really what, I want to do. I want to focus on what you guys are interested in. Ashley Shoemaker, Laid Back News. That's what it's called. Eric Hunley, Laid Back News. Thank you. Yeah, Richard Haddad said, great job for you and your dad on January 6th hearing. Horrible event, difficult to cover, extreme positions. I was sweating on your behalf. Yeah, wasn't fun. Tatia, I think they have evidence, or they would convince him to continue to ignore Wood. Manson is intelligent. He does not seem like the type to do things against a lawyer's advice. I agree. And he's lived this long dealing with all this controversy and complaints and stuff with him that you're right. It does seem weird that he would pick now to do this, but I think, upon lawyers' advice, they think he's got a strong case. Truvy St. John, you do not look tired. You have handsome, deep-set eyes is all. If you're tired, it does not show. Truvy, you're too good to me. You're too good to me, Truvy. Minnesota Mickey, there's a guy named Joe something. Tell everyone to check him out. He's done great editing, getting LawTube's reaction to the trial. So great and funny to watch. I don't know which Joe this is. Sorry. If I knew, I would. Azam, yes, I'm excited to see the YouTube button from Rob too. As am I. Chance, my buddy. Had to stop in and show some love to my man Peter. Keep up the good work. Keep being you. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you, man. Katie is a new member. Michelle C. Will Gabby Petito's parents have an opportunity to learn about what Brian Laundrie's parents knew or didn't know about what happened to Gabby through the discovery phase of their civil case? My guess is they're going to plead the fifth potentially to almost all of these questions. So I don't know if much is going to come out. They would get a negative inference of that on a civil case, but I don't know if it's going to be enough for them to continue on in the civil case. I don't know how much information they're actually going to get out of them, if I'm being honest, and I had to guess. Mad Hatter said it's Joe Smythe. Katie, can we have a gist on Daybell? So Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell were both married to other people. Divorced, got together. Each of their former spouses end up dead. And Lori Vallow, under suspicious circumstances, some people, I don't know if it's been proven, I can't remember, but Lori Vallow's brother potentially killed her husband. Then her brother died. And then Lori Vallow's children went missing while Lori Vallow and Chad left honeymooning in Hawaii. Everybody disappeared. They disappeared. Their children are found dead, I believe, on Chad Daybell's property. They get indicted for those murders. And then I think other stuff has been added on. I need a refresher on it. I've done some videos on it. If you want to check it out, go to that playlist. But it is a wild story. And there is a Latter-day Saints mix in there. Some people say a sub-cult of that potentially, that Vallow thought that her children were demons. I mean, there's all sorts of weird stuff going on in that case. She was also found to be incompetent for about a year, I believe, but now she's found to be competent. They asked to sever the cases. Judge said no, so they're going to be tried together. So we're sitting here wondering, will they point the finger at each other? Will they have a joint defense agreement? We defined in another video what a joint defense agreement is, how it works, what that can allow you to do to share evidence as co-defendants. My dad broke that down in detail as he's done it on a bunch of cases. So there's a lot going on in that case, and it is pretty wild. And they have live streamed a lot of the hearings, and I believe they're going to live stream the actual trial. Brooklyn Cares. I would love your take on the legal aspects of the case against Barry Morphew. I don't know what case this is. I apologize, Brooklyn. Melistasi. Lawyer, what about a quick one on the PGA versus LIV debacle? So very interesting, right? Because the PGA is a private entity and they can choose who they allow to play in their events. So the golfers can choose if they want to play in them, but also it's kind of a two-way street. So they have said, and they try to put on a, I don't want to call it a bluff, but a front that if you do that, if you go do that other league with the Saudi money and Greg Norman, you're out of here. And everybody knew it before they signed on with that. Yet all these people that are doing it, surprising amount of people, Dustin Johnson, Bryson DeChambeau, Sergio Garcia, a bunch of big names, former number ones, are playing in that tournament now. Phil Mickelson are playing in that tournament now. PGA is basically like, you're out. We will see if anybody files a lawsuit trying to force their way back into the PGA. What's interesting, though, is the majors, they're still allowed to play in the majors, which is interesting. Kimmy Locker, random question. What are the most frustrating and or inaccurate, it's so inaccurate it's insane parts of legal shows and movies to you? This is a good question. And I think the answer is the way some of the arguments they're allowed to make in court and trial and the evidence that always comes in. It's kind of like what Elaine Bredehoff wanted this trial to be like. Basically, every piece of evidence that I want to bring in should come in or it's an unfair trial. And in TV shows and movies, they're allowed to bring in everything. This person said that. I'm speculating to this. I'm guessing this. And they can argue and pound the table, say things in front of the jury they'd never be allowed to say. That's the most frustrating stuff, is the inadmissible stuff that comes in, the over-the-top acting, the very little procedure and technicalities that they have in most movies. Now, some have it great, but that's the most frustrating thing to me. I thought you couldn't sue the federal government. You can. There are caps sometimes depending on the case. Sandwich says Joe is Joe Neerman from Good Logic. I think they were talking about Joe Smythe. Joe Neerman was on Eric Hunley's case today, though, if that's the Joe you were talking about. Emma Rose, is Daybell Vallow going to be live streamed? Who will cover it? If you go check out the hearings that I covered, it's going to be streamed through the same, is it Idaho? I think it's Idaho or Wyoming or something. But yeah, the state is actually streaming it, I believe. Light Giver, we took a vote and decided you should play Captain Jack Sparrow and Pirates of the Caribbean 6. Listen, for $23 million, sign me up. I'll take a discount because I can't act like Johnny. Vito Land, Tampa, 3 straight Stanley Cups. I don't want to say it's all because of me. I don't want to take all the credit. I don't want to pat myself on the back. But all I know is when I went to game 3, they were down 2-0. Everyone was in the dumps. They needed something to turn it around, and it just happened to be all of your favorite lawyer that you know showing up to the game, showing his support, and boom. They're on a 3-game win streak, and we've got a chance to close it out here soon against the Rangers and move our way to the finals, which would be so fun. I'm just kidding, of course, but that was fun. Good question. Thank you. Serenity Flegel, you want the truth? You can't handle the truth. You could be his long-lost twin brother, somebody said about Johnny Depp, I assume. Peter's a good Greek boy. It's true. Rebex Star, are you and Lon Lubber childhood friends? This is a funny question. Rachel, who works with me, texted me and said it's a bromance brewing. I've never even met Rob from Lawn Lumber in real life. I only met him through this trial and on YouTube, and we've messaged each other, and now we text each other sometimes. I just think he's really nice, like a genuinely nice dude. That's fun. So Veto Land with our emoji. People have been asking when you go to other channels, I guess that's the point of the emoji. So when you go to other channels and I'm on there, you throw this golf emoji in there and that counts as me. I guess. So cool. This is the emoji if anybody was wondering. Sunny days. Yes, we will see you in Colorado. I hope so. I hope so. My sister's family moved to Colorado, then just moved back recently. And so my nephew is like torn between the lightning and the avalanche. I was like, easy decision, man. Patty Joe Sloss. Oh my gosh, Peter Tragos, lawyer and part-time Lucky Charm. Yes, I may even rent myself out as a Lucky Charm for the finals, potentially. Azam Noraza Jumbari. Again, here we go. Another non-legal question. Does something like Primal Fear movie ever happen in the real world? Probably. Now, I will say not necessarily faking something like that, but I will say that there are probably people that trick their lawyers into believing them, and that way the lawyers will fight a certain way, and when they win, they turn and they actually tell the lawyer, oh, I am guilty, I did it, whatever. I'm sure that type of stuff happens. All right, let's see what else we got. YouTube, Google, Legally Blonde was so unrealistic. A law student doesn't become the lead trial lawyer in a case. That is never happening. Now, there are ways that you can extern in law school that I did, and you can actually try cases, but it's for the state attorney's office because you have that umbrella of the government overseeing you. So, interesting question. Sandy Rhodes is making sure everybody knows I'm not actually a good Greek boy because I didn't go to Greek school. I'm a disappointment. Joe Gottman. I always say Gotham. I don't know why. Every time you post, Joe. Peter, you're so funny. You have changed my outlook on lawyers. You really have. You're an inspiration for other young lawyers. I really appreciate that. I do. A lot. Quit your bitching. I've enjoyed your channel and coverage through surgery recovery. Thank you. Oh, awesome. I appreciate that. And I've had a bunch of surgeries. When I was in high school, I broke my leg, compound fracture, had pins and screws and an external fixator. I had 7 different surgeries just on my one leg from football. And so I know what it's like to recover from surgery. It's brutal. Alejandra Nunez, what about Suits? I loved Suits, but that was also one that was so miserable. I was just waiting for him to get caught. I didn't love the story that he never actually went to law school. I loved Harvey Specter. I do think there's some legitimacy to what they did in that show, but a lot of that was way over the top. Way over the top. Patty Joe Sloss. I was in Rob Lawn Lover live stream and suggested to him to IM you the invite. Inky Dink. You appeared seconds later. Look at you, Patty Joe. Also a good luck charm. Kathy L. Oh, I never understood why they were asking about emojis. Got it now. Yes, I guess when you go somewhere else, post my emoji. I guess you don't have to if you don't want to, but if you do, it's the golf emoji. Steelers girl. Daybell case is crazier than the Depp case. Absolutely, but it's not celebrity. What kind of mother dumps their children for a new husband? So many cray-cray people. God help us, normal people. My grandmother used to say normal is just a setting on a hairdryer. Virulent Viper, what's up, man? Do you have an idea of how often you will be live streaming the January 6th trial and if Papa Tragos will be there for some of them? I don't know. I haven't made a decision on that yet. Leaning towards no after last night. Lane Seawright, what are some cool ways AI tech is used in the law? Some great ways. So some experts can do accident reconstruction. Some experts can give us like drone footage of certain, areas where there's a premises liability, a wrongful death, a negligent security, or an accident. We can use these awesome presenting softwares in trial where we can edit documents on the fly, zoom into depositions, pull up a picture, write on the picture. All that type of technology is awesome to use in the law. And I have, from day one, I love technology and using technology and stuff like that. I'm not very savvy on YouTube, but when I do focus on something and love it and use it a lot, I really enjoy it. And I think it makes us look great in front of a jury. It's very smooth. First couple trials I did right out of law school, I was doing that with just my iPad in my hand, and the defense counsel had 3 different tech people there with 2 computers and this big old screen. And they were like, John, can you please bring up T123? And he was like, and would bring it up. And then I would just be like, all right, here's the medical record that I'm going to split the screen and put the medical record right next to the depot and say, this is not what the medical record said. Yes. And this is what you said in your prior depot. And the jury ate it up. And it was funny because they were trying to act like there was no money, yet they spent $15,000 on their tech crew. And all we had was a $99 app that we used on our iPad. All right. Are you wearing eye makeup? Looks good. No, I've only worn makeup once in my life. Can anybody guess when that was? Tell KLK. Mr. MJ Ryzen, what position did you play in football? What do you guys think? What would be your guess? Give me your guess as to what position I played in football in the comments, and then I'll answer it in a few minutes. Jordan Rattenvong, what's your number one logic games tip? I need help. Practice. Do as many of them as you can. Do millions of practice questions, and then you start to understand what they're asking. And so many of them ask the same exact thing. So I would say practice, which is not great. Chance, whether you won or lost the case, have you ever thought to yourself after about things you wish you would have done different in the case after it was over? So I do closing in just about every trial I've ever done. And when I practice my closing in different ways, sometimes I was like, I think that one might have been a little bit different, but I've never been disappointed in a closing. I've enjoyed every closing that I've done and cross. Sometimes the only thing I would say I regret or think that maybe was a little too clunky, as I've said before with other lawyers, I'm not just bashing them. Like it happens to me sometimes. Direct can sometimes be clunky with experts or be boring. So I wish I would have thought of ways to make it more engaging. And that's really what I try to do now, especially you guys have helped me realize how making it engaging will make you listen to more than, if it's very technically perfect, but so boring that you just zone out, it might not be helpful. So I appreciate it. Marissa Cartia, have you or your dad ever done a habeas corpus case? What do those trials look like typically? Yes, my dad has. So we will ask him next time he's on. I never have. What's your favorite law movie? Genealogy said. Somebody referenced A Few Good Men earlier. That's one of my favorites ever. I'm trying to think of what other ones as far as shows go, I did love Suits. I'm sure My Cousin Vinny was really good too. I'm trying to think of what other trials show. I did like 12 Angry Men that people suggested on here and I never saw it. Carson Reinhardt, you a Tampa Bay Bucks fan or someone else? Definitely Bucks. Forever, always been a Bucks fan. And I almost gave away what position I played, but I'll answer this later. YouTube, Google, your grandma's a vibe. Yes, she was. She was a vibe, to say the least. Riri Yanni, you and your pops are awesome. Thanks for your unbiased coverage. You're now my go-to for all trial-related stories. Awesome. Thank you. Rebex Star, thank you. All right, let's get to some of these votes here. Michelle Douglas said quarterback. Catherine Jones says defensive end. Maya says shortstop, wrong sport, but made me smile, so I appreciate that. Deanna Miller said wide receiver. Alicia said running back. Tapoda Madre said water boy. Ouch. Sandy Rhodes. Oops, sorry. I'll get to that one in a second. JL Seether said wide receiver. Mary Blackstock said tight end. Stacy said receiver. Steelers girls said Peter played tight end. Running back, I see a lot of different. I liked white collar. Yes, I see that in there. I like Lincoln Lawyer too. Running back. So the answer is quarterback, as Ashley Oakes stated. I was a quarterback. It was short-lived because this broken leg ended my career after my sophomore year. But for 2 years, I played high school quarterback. And it was a lot of fun, and I love it. Football is my favorite sport. And that's what I was going to say. So quarterback's my favorite position. I love it. I like the way they see the game, control the game, call the plays. I like to do that in life too. But the reason I was going to say the Bucks just got so much more fun is the last two quarterbacks we've had I've actually loved. I know people are going to give me hate for Jameis Winston, but I'm also a Florida State guy. So having Jameis come to Tampa, I was like, dream come true. He led the Knowles to a championship. I was hoping he was going to lead the Bucks to one. He didn't. But then Tom Brady, I love Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, just the stud quarterbacks, the iconic quarterbacks I love. So when Brady came, that was amazing as well. So that's really fun. Sandy Rhodes, I think your dad did a great job last night with a touchy subject, but don't force yourself to do what doesn't feel like fun here. I agree with you. And that's really what it comes down to. I got a lot of questions about it, so I decided to try to do it. People told me not to, told me it was stupid, told me it was a mistake. And I thought we could, be decent and have decent conversations on here. I was wrong. So I don't think I'm going to do it again. It really wasn't fun. Peyton is my all-time favorite. So who is your favorite quarterback ever? People are asking. And honestly, it was close with Peyton. I loved Brett Favre as well. I loved John Elway. My favorite quarterback of all time is now Tom Brady. He was on the list with those other guys. Loved him. Then when he literally came to my team and brought a championship like that, and we're good every year because he's here, that's it. He takes the cake at this point. Favorite college quarterback is Jameis Winston. By far. Ooh, Steve Young is a good one. He was a fun one. Joe Montana was a little before my time, if I'm being honest. Does Tragos Law have any experience in Scientology cases? We've had some that deal with Scientology really on both sides. We've represented people that are Scientologists, not the Church of Scientology. We've represented people that are in all race, religion, creed, national background, diverse backgrounds, different thinking. So we've had some like that, but not specifically dealing with the Church of Scientology. All right. This was really fun Q&A and AMA. Got me in a good mood, so I appreciate you all. We're going to be here for about 5 more minutes. So if you have any more questions, get it in now. But I do want to say thank you. People are saying he stole crab legs. I do want to say thank you to everybody for coming on. This was fun. I'm glad we got to talk about a new case. If you're interested in this Marilyn Manson case, make sure you hit the like button. Tell your friends to come hit the like button and subscribe to our page. If you haven't subscribed already, which like more than 50% of people that watch these lives haven't subscribed. So hit that subscribe button for me if you don't mind. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. And I appreciate everybody joining us here. Make sure you check us out on Instagram and Twitter at Tragos Law. But let's get to the last couple questions before we sign off here. Do I remember Charlie Ward? Yes. Not before my time. I was born in 87. He took us to a championship in 93. I was fully invested back then, crying like a baby when we lost. I was probably a poor sport, but yes, I remember him and how he wasn't even the full-on starter at the beginning. He and Brad Johnson. Yes, one of my fantasy football team name is usually like a law office, is Tragos, Stars, and Tragos. My fantasy team name is Ward, Winky, and Winston, which are Florida State's 3 Heisman Trophy and championship winning quarterbacks. It's Ward, Winky, Winston, LLC. So it's like a law firm name with my 3 guys, my boys, Charlie Ward, Chris Winky, and Jameis Winston. All right, let's see. Liz Bird, what about Jim Carrey and Liar Liar? Is a law, but not a law firm. Sorry, law film. Yes, very unrealistic, but very funny. Jim Carrey is hilarious. I found that movie to be hilarious. Olivia Lindsay, collab with Emily D. Baker. Yes, it's in the works. I got to just get on her schedule. She's busy. And in fairness, I can't stream all the time. So I'm not putting the blame on her or anything. She said, yes, she wants to do it. She is awesome and really smart and quick-witted and has a lot of experience as a state prosecutor and trying cases. I think it'd be a really fun discussion. I'm not sure which case we would handle or we would talk about. I'd leave that up to you guys potentially, but absolutely I want to get her on for sure. My son is high school quarterback. Google his videos, Johnny Lyman. Let me write it down. Limon. Johnny Lyman and Rebek Star. I've seen your name a couple times, so make sure you're on the next live so we can talk about Johnny. I'll give you my honest take on him. Nami, what do you think about Calvin Ridley? I went to high school with him. I think it sucks that, I don't want people to be rigging games, obviously, right? But like the whole world can bet on games now and do fantasy football. I realize gambling's not legal in every state, but do fantasy football. He's a young guy, and that suspension was harsh. So you look at that, right? And he bet on a game. And then let's see what happens with Deshaun Watson. Okay, now I get it. None of that stuff's been proven yet, But if any of it is proven, or if he goes and loses a civil trial, his punishment better be a lot worse than Calvin Ridley, in my opinion. Now, if he's cleared of all wrongdoing, not at all just from being accused of it, but I thought the penalty was a little harsh. It's a game. I realize a lot of people's money, is on it, but I don't know. I have mixed feelings about it. Paula Graham, I was on a jury once, felonious assault, and I would love to have a discussion sometime about what goes on in the deliberations. Paula, I agree with you. That would be awesome. We got to figure out a way potentially for maybe on the community page to get a bunch of comments and like experiences from people that are in our community that were jurors, and then come on and do a video, and I can read through them and kind of talk through them and also answer questions and have you guys be featured. Got to figure out a way to do that. I think that would be fun. Okay. I think we are about done here. RF, let's put this on the screen on our way out. I appreciate all of you. Again, as always, I really do. Makes it fun. Thought it was like a perfect group today. And we were able to get to a lot of questions. We were able to talk about a lot of things. That's really my goal for this, to have fun with it and enjoy it. A lot of the topics are difficult. The topics aren't fun, but it doesn't mean we can't have fun talking about them and learning. So I appreciate everybody so much for joining us today. Yes, go Lightning. I think go Warriors too right now. What do you guys think? Go Celtics or go Warriors? Not really married to either team. I like Steph Curry. But I want to see a long series. I want it to go 7 games because I don't want it to end. But I appreciate all of you. Until next time, you guys are legitimately the best.